But let's talk to Howard Cox, founder of Fair Fuel UK. A couple of reasons. There's some big anti-car stories to get our heads around this morning. As you might expect, they're still punishing anyone who's got a car. They're still trying to make you pay. They're still trying to convince you that you shouldn't be in a car, that you should be on a bike, that you should be walking. I mean, just the hits never stop. Today, for example, in Sheffield, and if you are in Sheffield, you can let us know how it's going, they've started a clean air zone, which presumably means that the air isn't going to get any cleaner. They're just going to charge you for breathing it. 0344 499 1000 is the number. Howard, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
So, you know, we've been saying for a long time, haven't we, that this is all going to move rapidly around the country. It's not just Sadiq Khan and London. It's happening now in Cambridge, apparently, they've started it. It's happening in Sheffield today. Glasgow, coming up very shortly, is going to have an ultra low emission zone. It's happening in places like Oxford. I mean, all over the country now, this madness, this green craziness is catching hold.
Yeah, it's Bristol, Birmingham and London, of course, are the pioneers of all this.
Yeah.
The fact is, you know, as you quite rightly pointed out, what benefit this is going to achieve except fatten the purses of the local authorities.
Yeah.
There is no way that any of this is going to improve the environment or improve the air we breathe. It's complete and utterly crass. And I hope that we can turn this around. A lot depends on the 5 boroughs or 6 boroughs in Greater London who are actually taking a judicial review approach to the Mayor of London.
Yes. Well, I mean, the trouble is with all of this every politician, it seems, is convinced that they've got a cash cow on their hands, and they're right because they have, and they can simply just adhere to these ridiculous ideas, and suddenly they're a few million quid better off. I mean, what's not to like if you're in a local council?
Especially one that's, and I'm sorry to bring up, it's more than just Greater London and Sadiq Khan, but he's actually requested 110 million more to double the budget to actually pay for their scrappage scheme scenario. Right. And it's the irony, and this is the irony, is the Labour members in London have actually turned that down.
Well, because it's not enough.
Well, probably, but the thing is, you know, they're quite happy to collect the cash, but they're not wanting to actually help people move to cleaner vehicles. That goes against the environmental purpose, surely. Well,
I see there's a piece in The Sun today in which it says that car drivers are basically of the opinion that 2030 is too soon to make the swap to electric vehicles. And they're right, aren't they? Because it's only 7 years away. And if you're about to buy, say, a family car, you've got enough problems trying to get one delivered at the moment, I think. I think it's slightly better than it was, you know, 6 months ago. But certainly as late as sort of late summer of last year, you couldn't even get a new car unless it was made in Japan or something, because nothing was coming out of Europe. But they're basically expecting everybody to be on an electric car by 7 years from now. If you're buying a new car now, you'd expect to keep it for probably 10 years, wouldn't you?
Well, a lot of people are doing that, and that particular research was done by the Alliance of British Drivers, who I work quite closely with. Yeah. Fundamentally, I mean, as you know, I did a CBR report in November last week with the Alliance of British Drivers and the Motorcycle Action Group, that 2030 ban will cost 5 times more than any environmental benefit, any alleged environmental benefit. So, again, we've got these myopic, clueless politicians introducing policies against the will of the majority, simply to raise cash.
Exactly right. Jill sent us a tweet. She says the ULEZ charges blatantly affect middle and low-income families who can't afford to change their cars despite the measly scrappage schemes, which are targeted mainly at those on benefits. With high fuel costs, people only use their cars when they need to, not on a whim. And I think that's right. I mean, the congestion problems that we have in this country are not caused by people going out for a jolly and going, oh, let's go for a nice drive and sit in traffic for 3 bloody hours. You know, it's not exactly a pleasure anymore driving, is it, in this country? So everyone who's out there is doing it because they have to.
Well, I don't know where it's coming from, because I get really angry with when someone says we've got to get people out of their cars, we've got to get them onto bicycles, we've got to get them walking. No, we're not that. What right have you got to do that? In the last century, the actual invention of the motor car has been a liberating factor for all of us and for all our economies.
Yes.
What is going on at the moment, I don't know. And as you know, and thanks to Talk TV, etc., we're getting our message across to a lot more MPs. 60 MPs, for example, are fighting to actually get a cut in fuel duty in the budget in 2 weeks' time, and also Pump Watch for getting a fair, transparent prices.
Yes, absolutely right. I mean, also, I was looking at a story in the Telegraph today where apparently the chief of Lime, who runs it's a scooter company, right, on safety and going green. Cars should be limited to 20 miles an hour to avoid an e-scooter ban. I don't know quite why he makes those two things sort of join-upable, does he?
Well, he's blaming for the accidents that have happened to e-scooters on cars.
Yeah, well, of course.
It would be. And he's essentially saying, we want to actually use the roads, and you please get out of the way, please, and go slower so we can get past you. It's a complete and utter selfish. Here we go. The old virtual signalling. It's near to cycling sort of approach.
Yeah.
The driver is always attacked, and that's what it's about.
I mean, it is incredible, isn't it, the numbers of things now that you have to, avoid while driving a car. Bikes that don't go in bike lanes, cyclists coming towards you the wrong way down a one-way street, scooters swimming around inside the traffic lanes, going in and out of cars. I mean, I see these guys now coming up on the inside when I'm driving, and you never know where they are. They come at all angles, all different ways, sideways, front ways, backwards. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I know, it is disgusting, and of course a lot of them are avoiding the potholes as well.
Yeah. Don't get me started about potholes.
Well, sorry, Mike, I'm afraid, welcome to my world.
Oh, I know. Well, I'll tell you where you should never also go is don't ever go to Gatwick Airport to park in the car park there, because I damaged my wheels having gone round it. It's so tight, right? And they've got a sort of a curb which is about at least a foot high. Which you can't get around without scraping. I mean, it's just ludicrous. You're going, hang on a minute, this is going to cost me a fortune driving in here. I went to Heathrow the following week and there was no problem at all. But for some reason, the car park at Gatwick has got poles all over the place. They don't really want you there, clearly. They charge you, I think I paid something like 15 quid for being there for about 20 minutes. It's unbelievable.
Well, you see, and I think you've got another story regarding if you park your car in Heathrow, you've got good chances it won't actually be in a nice, secure parking area. It'll be parked in a street.
Oh, yeah. Well, some of those car parking crazy organisations where what they call long-term parking on the outside of the airport sort of perimeter. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't touch any of them with a barge pole. I don't even know whether they're driving the cars around. They might be renting them to people while you're on holiday.
Well, the important thing is people, the trading standards and advertising standards, they promise secure parking.
Yes.
And they're not doing that. So they should be subject to criminal law and the whole...
They're just parking on roads, aren't they?
Yes, exactly. And the Sun actually highlighted this today. I think a reporter undercover took his car in there and it was parked 2 miles away on a road in a lay-by. I mean, this is the sort of things happening. And again, there's 37 million drivers in this country. They're not only used as cash cows, but they are actually demonised. The whole thing has got way beyond any joke anymore. This is very, very serious. And any party we're actually listening now, if they listen to this, if they supported the motorists, there's a good chance they get elected.
Yeah, that's what I told Nick Dubois this morning about Keir Starmer. How about this from Mandy? Last night, she says, I looked up the bus timetable in my area, which is pretty rural. There's a bus every 2 hours. It would be impossible to do anything. I mean, I remember when I lived in Wiltshire, in a little town just outside of Devizes, right? There was a bus that went into Devizes at 9:30 in the morning and another one that came back at about 3:30 in the afternoon. So if you wanted to go into town, you had to not only go at a particular time, but you had to stay there for sort of 5 hours and then make sure you got the bus back. You couldn't do it, so a lot of old people just didn't go.
Well, outside the big cities, public transport is a joke. It really is a joke. You cannot actually trust it, you can't rely on it, and it's not safe. These are the sorts of things. In London, for example, you can go anywhere with your Oyster card. It's fantastic. But again, you can't go everywhere with your Oyster card when you're carrying a set of ladders and a set of plumbing tools.
Well, as long as they're not on strike, because I think there's a tube strike coming soon. There's going to be another RMT strike coming soon, I'm pretty sure. I think maybe next weekend. But anyway, listen, Howard, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Howard Cox there, founder of Fair Fuel UK.